Hi, I'm Bart Hanson, the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
All right, so let me just start off by saying I'm relatively new to live poker.
Okay.
I've been a big fan of poker for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm new to the area, but I actually play over at Stones, and I know you use them a lot.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So this is a 1-2 cash game. Feel free to stop me. Like I said, it's my first time doing this. But it's a 1-2 cash game. Still pretty new. I don't know the people there. I just sat down. I've been there for I was at the table maybe an hour, played a few hands.
I will point out that Stones is a match the stack, so I don't know how much you bought in for, but even at their low, wait a minute, maybe at that low game it's not the match the stack. Do you know that?
Right,
I know,
so
and they're 2-5.
Right. So it's capped at 200 buy-in.
Okay.
At this point, I have about 300 in front of me, and the main villain has me covered.
Okay, so 300 effective. Got it.
And this hand played very weird. I don't know if it's because he suspected I'm a younger looking guy. I'm only 22, so I don't know if they wanted to keep me in the hand or what. It played kind of weird, but
Okay.
basically, it folds around to me. I'm in the middle position, and I look down at two black tens.
Okay.
So I go ahead, and since there's no limpers in front of me, I go ahead and I do a 5x raise. I make it $10 to go.
Is that about the standard open usually once people don't come in?
Yeah, it's usually around $8 to $10, sometimes even lower.
Okay.
And so the main villain in the hand, he's in the big blind. It folds all the way to him, and he flat calls.
Okay.
So the flop is a pretty good flop for us. It is ace 10.
Ace 10. Rainbow. Yeah. Okay.
So we flop the nuts.
We flop bottom full. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And he goes ahead and he leads out for 20.
Okay.
He makes a pot size bet. I don't want to scare him away or anything like that. At this point, I'm hoping he has an ace.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe like an under pair or whatever there might be. So I go ahead and I just flat call.
Okay. I mean, one quick thing about that I'll say is, I mean, you guys aren't crazy deep. I mean, you're 300 effective, which is, under only 150 blinds deep, but they're, dealing with a 5x raise. The pot size is going to be a little bit larger, so it's almost like an online thing where you're playing like 100 BBs deep. I will say, though, that, I mean, you do say the board is a rainbow board. I think that a good portion of the time, if it was a 2-flush board, I might be raising here quite a bit. I mean, the thing is that I'm not necessarily for protection, but I just feel like, especially on like kind of a lockdown board like this, unless the guy's a total maniac, if he doesn't have an ace, he's just taking like a single shot at this, and you just want to try to get as much money in versus an ace as possible. So that's why if it was a 2-flush board, I'd actually like to raise right away so that we don't get a check on the turn. A lot of times, even like at the 2-5 level, 1-2 is kind of interesting because a lot of people don't really know what they're doing at 1-2, but at the 2-5 level, I've seen guys bet an ace here and then check turn and then go into a check call shell mode, which is part of the reason why an argument can be made to raise right away. Now, if he's like betting with king, queen, or queen, jack, and some sort of miracle can happen where he can hit a Broadway straight draw, that's one thing. But I got to be honest with you, at this level, I might make it 45 right away because I just don't know if you're going to continue to get bet at. Also, too, if you just show up with a raise on the turn or on the river, it's so indicative of strength. There is just no bluffing line that people have at 1-2 as a call and a raise for the most part, especially on a board like this. But anyways, you call.
And then the turn is probably the worst turn you can ask for. It's actually another ace.
Another ace, okay.
Yeah. So now there are a couple of hands we're losing to. Pocket jacks and above beat us. And then, of course, if he does have that ace, which now I'm hoping he doesn't, we're losing to that too. But
there is one thing to keep into consideration here too, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that Stones has a bad beat jackpot. So one of the things that I would be thinking about right now is if I was playing in LA. In LA, the bad beat jackpot is basically any aces full of tens beaten by 4 of a kind or better. So you have aces full of tens and you play both of your cards. So your hand's the same as tens, jacks, queens, kings, which means that if he has ace 10 plus here, Right now you actually qualify for the bad beat jackpot. I'm not. Do you know if it had a bad beat jackpot in the
So
game?
I've actually was lucky enough. The third time I was at Stones, I actually ended up winning a bad beat jackpot. It was a
Okay.
table share. I wasn't in the hand, but it was
Uh-huh.
a table share, and it actually has to be quad twos or better beat.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't really apply.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, lucky enough that table share is what helped me get a little bit of a bankroll going to play 1-2.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so basically, he goes ahead and it's kind of weird. It's small. He leads out again for 20.
Okay.
And I'm to be honest with you, I wasn't sure if I still had him here or like he's kind of putting out a feeler bet. So I
Yeah,
played
I
on the safe
mean,
side a little bit
I think
and I just
this,
call.
yeah, I mean, probably the standard play here is to probably call with your entire range. Even if you had flatted with like ace king or something, I just can't really see raising here. I mean, a hand that a lot of times the guy will have here is like a 10. I mean, there's 110 left in the deck, so you tie to that. Occasionally, you'll see somebody put a feeler bet out with a pair that's above, second pair on board, so you lose to jacks, queens, and kings. But it's pretty much, I mean, yeah, it's pretty much a call all day. So you make the call.
I mean, like, and the river is actually where I made my mistake. The river is a complete blank. It's a 2.
Okay.
And he bets 20 again. Uh, yeah.
Okay. I mean,
So
I would
at
just
this
call
point,
again. I mean, are you thinking of
right.
raising? What do you think you're going to get called by that's worse than your hand? Or are you thinking about like maybe turning your hand into a bluff?
So so basically, what I was thinking, because he bets the 20, and I'm debating on just flat calling or raising is what. There's no way I'm folding. And I think to myself, the fact that he's betting so small, it made me suspicious. If and I called 2 streets, so I shouldn't think that he would think that I'm weak. And I ended up just min raising to see where I'm at. I wouldn't think that he would have jacks or better. That's something that went through my mind just because of the fact that I would expect a 3 bet.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
So
What's
I'm
your name?
thinking,
What's your name?
my name's Michael.
Michael, but right. I mean, unless we were off on the action, you're at the river and you're last to act. So why do you have to see where you're at? First of all, seeing where you're at is not really a good reason to bet or raise and hold them for the most part, but there's some incongruence here in your logic because you can just call and the hand's over. So,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I can see sometimes thinking this, like, on the turn, like, you put in a raise on the turn to slow the guy down, and it goes check, check on the river. I'm not talking about on this particular board, but just on an earlier street. But you don't see where you're at when you're last to act on the river and you can call. You would either be raising for value or you would be raising as a bluff here to get the guy off of the same hand or to possibly get him off a better hand. I don't think he's going to fold a pair above a 10. You could make the case that with this guy's sizing, you could raise here and your hand looks so much like an ace, he might fold a 10. But raising to 40 is a value raise, but I just find it very hard to believe you're going to get called by a worse hand here. So that's
I
sort of
mean,
the incongruence.
yeah. I mean, I thought he might have had an under pair, and it was just one of those things where he might have not believed I had a 10 or whatever the case may be.
Well, if you think he
But
has an under pair and you're raising, then you're raising for value, but you're not raising to see where you're at. Do you see what I'm saying?
right.
By the way, somebody in
Yeah.
the
No.
live chat said that Derek Cole says, I'm pretty sure the jackpot is aces full of tens. It's quad deuces for Omaha. I don't know. You think it's still quad deuces for Hold'em from what you remember?
Yeah. From what I remember, his quad deuces are better. Because the one where I actually was at the table share, it was quad fours got beat by quad king.
Okay. All right. So you race to 40 and what happens?
He makes it kind of tricky. He raises it to 100.
I mean,
Yeah.
even though it appears like his sizing wouldn't really be an indicative of 4 aces, and I find it very hard to believe that a 1-2 player would lead out with quads and take this line for this sizing. It's really sort of inconsistent. I just can't imagine how. Again, it might be a situation where he's got like pocket queens here. I mean, the pot is the only thing you beat here is a bluff. I mean, is a guy really bet 3-betting the river on an ace 10 ace board versus the pre-flop razor? I mean, he
Yeah.
bet 20, 60, 80, 100, 120, 160. So the pot is like maybe 220, 60 for you to call. I don't know. I guess occasionally maybe you call it, but it's a chop, but I would just let it go.
Yeah, and I kind of wish I wish I just called his 20 to begin with. To be honest with you, looking
Uh-huh.
back at it, but I end up I can't seem to let it go. It might have been a bad call on my part. It probably is a bad call on my part because from what I've seen, this was a while back, and I've definitely learned a lot watching your YouTube channel and watching some other calls where basically on the river now, if they're raising, it's usually not a bluff. So
So,
I've definitely taken that to heart. Looking back at it, it was a mistake, but I do end up making the call, and he has ace four, and he had quads.
yeah. I mean, once, like I said, the truth serum comes in as the bet three bet on the river. If you hadn't told me what happened on the river and we just arrive at the river and he bets 20, so he led 20 on flop, led 20 on turn, and led 20 on river, I would say there's a very good chance he does not have an ace. But your hand still isn't really strong enough to raise. It would be one thing like if you had kings. Let's say you had kings, and yeah, I would raise the river. With the action, I'd play it the same way, and I would raise the river. But with tens, there's just not really that much of a point, especially with your sizing. I appreciate the call. Thanks for the call. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA100. Click on the link right there.